Exactly. The Pope needs just a trailer park stash. It's all I need from a Pope.
I think a goatee would be cool. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Unbelievable, the podcast where normally I would tell my friend Luis one true story from history and one false story from history.
And normally I would try to figure out which one's which.
But today is my day of reckoning and Luis's day of celebration because we have kept score and Luis has ultimately won. So today, if this is the first episode you're listening to, you're in the wrong place. Go listen to a different
the beginning.
one.
Go to the beginning. Come back.
Yeah, we're at the end of our journey here. Okay. So we've got a lot in store. We've got some games, some stories from the archives, and of course, we will see who is punished and who is rewarded for their performance in this season of Unbelievable. To start us out, Luis, do you have a game?
Yeah, I think so. We're going to be doing this a little bit differently. Both stories we're going to be telling you today are going to be true stories, so there's not going to be any deciphering stories. And we're going to start off with having some fun, doing a little bit fun games related to this podcast. And
yes,
I'm glad you asked me if I have a game, Kurt, because the luck would have it. I do. Wowee. Well, Kurt, to get us started on this very special episode of Unbelievable, I want to take it all back to where we've all began, to where everything began. And that is the papacy and the Mexican Empire.
What do you mean where it all began? We never left.
we're deep diving back into it again because I fear no God, Kurt.
That's true. All right, what do you got for me?
So for this little fun game before we get to your story, Kurt, I want you. It's the name of the game is called. Say it with me, audience. Papacy or Mexican Empire. Woo! Now, what this game entails, I'm going to give you a bunch of different prompts, Kurt.
Okay.
10 to be exact. And you're going to have to tell me whether it belongs to the ruler of the papacy or the ruler of the Mexican Empire. Basically, Kurt, I just give you a bunch of prompts. They can either be of the Mexican Empire or of the papacy. You just have to tell me which is which. And then I'll do a bit of fun explaining as to which one, as to why.
Yes, let's do it. What every game needs, a little bit of education added in.
Exactly. Now, because we mess around, but we also learn so much.
Yes.
We mess around a bit, we have fun a bit, we learn a bit. Unbelievable.
We have a lot of laughs, we have a lot of fast facts.
Exactly. Now, let's play Papacy or Mexican Empire. Woo!
We should have filmed in front of a live studio audience. You know, if we were ever going to scrape together the money for it, this was the one.
Exactly. Well, so be it. Anyway, Kurt, here we go. Papacy or Mexican Empire. These are European rulers.
I feel like that works for either. Is there more?
European rulers. Papacy or Mexican Empire?
I feel like it's both. Okay, I'm going to say Mexican Empire because I know the emperor was a European ruler.
You're so right, Kurt. And you know what? You got that. You got that. I don't know if you recall that the current pope is Latin American. So you got it, Kurt.
I'm not so up to date on my popes, so that was a lucky guess.
The current pope is Argentinian, so you're right. The Mexican Empire was
cool.
Exclusively European rulers.
You hate to see it.
Now, papacy or Mexican Empire, meddled with Mexico.
I'm going to say papacy.
No, Kurt, it's both. Now,
I thought I couldn't answer both.
Now, here's why. So, yes, as we all know, Maximilian of Habsburg came to Mexico and decided to be the Mexican Empire. So that's a pretty obvious medal there back in the second French intervention of Mexico in the 1860s. But also, the papacy has been deeply involved with Mexico throughout most of its history. Most notably, lately, has been in the 1920s when there was a huge war in Mexico, warring against Catholicism. And the papacy was very much against that because, of course, the papacy loves Catholicism. It's one of the first and only wars in the world where you can say the Pope joined Mexico in fighting the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow. And why haven't we heard that story yet?
In fighting the Ku Klux Klan and also Mexico. So it's very fun. We'll probably talk about it some later episode, but there we go. It's both. Now, here we go, Kurt. Papacy or Mexican Empire? All boys club.
Papacy.
Absolutely right, Kurt.
Yes.
And it's only been men that have ruled in the papacy, and every single Vatican citizen is a man. It's one of the only countries that has no reproducing population in the entire world. And in Mexico, Carlotta of Empire, the Empress of Mexico, took over ruling duties whenever Maximilian of Habsburg was not there. So there's a woman involved in the rules of the Mexican Empire. Now, here we go, Kurt. Papacy Papacy or Mexican Empire, loved by their subjects?
Papacy.
No, Kurt, it's both. Both have been...
Okay. Let me just clarify from here on out.
No. You can't clarify. We keep going. It's both, Kurt. It's both, Kurt. Why? Well, papacy, who doesn't love a Catholic? But also, who doesn't hate a Catholic, right? We've all been there. Also, Mexican Empire, fully a civil war. So, of course, there were people that loved the empire. There were people that hated the empire. It eventually crumbled. So, loved their subjects, papacy, and Mexican Empire. Now, Kurt, loathed by their subjects.
Both.
You're so right, Kurt. It's both. Again, for the same reason. One of them was a civil war. And again, who doesn't hate a Catholic? All respect.
I'm starting to figure out this game here. I see how this is going.
All right, Kurt. Here we go. Who in the papacy or Mexican Empire? Who is known for a cool hat?
Oh, papacy all the way.
You're so right. We love the cool hat. Very disappointed the current pope doesn't wear it. Now,
he doesn't wear the hat?
He doesn't wear the hat because he's
That's
a coward.
That's like 50% of the job.
He's a coward, Kurt, is what I'm saying. Love you, Pope Francis, but wear the hat. Now, Kurt, papacy or Mexican Empire? Known for a cool beard.
Mexican Empire.
Mexican Empire, you're so right. Maximilian of Habsburg has the fun double-forked beard, which we all love. And, funny enough, the last pope to have a beard was 300 years ago, which is, I think, something we should change very soon.
True. Pope needs a double-forked beard.
Exactly. The pope needs just a trailer park stash. It's all I need from a pope.
I think a goatee would be cool.
Put me as now that whenever I'm the pope next, Kurt, I'm going to bring back beards.
How are you going to grow a beard? What are you going to steal one?
All right, next question, Kurt. Papacy or Mexican Empire? Disdain for the Mexican people.
Both.
No, Kurt, it's the papacy.
Well, that's good to hear. At least only one.
Well, why is this, Kurt? Well, let me tell you. The Mexican Empire, Maximilian of Habsburg, and Charlotte of Belgium, the both emperors of Mexico, were very much fans of the Mexican people, loved the Mexican people, fell in love with Mexican culture, and they died thinking they died for the country they now were adopted by. And now, unfortunately, we cannot say the same for the papacy. Why? Because when Pope Francis visited Mexico last, he yelled at us, and he yelled screaming, "Don't be greedy." Sure, did we deserve it by trying to push other people aside to try to touch the Pope? Absolutely. Did we almost knock a kid on a wheelchair over just so that we could get a close look at the Pope? Absolutely.
Oh, that's not a good look.
But still, the Pope yelled at us, and it made us feel very, very remorseful and very sad as a country. So the Pope has disdain for Mexican people. We all know this. Anyway, next question, Kurt. Papacy or Mexican Empire? Responsible for Benito Mussolini?
Oh, wow. These are not softball questions, Luis.
These are important, Kurt, important context questions.
Neither. I'm going with I don't even know if that's an option, but we're off the rails. Neither.
It was not an option, Kurt. It's the Mexican Empire, and for a very specific reason, and I'll tell you why. Mexican Empire, 1860s. Maximilian of Habsburg comes from Austria. Who would you consider his arch rival, his arch nemesis, the people that the empire side fought against, the Republican side? We all know him. We all love him. Benito Juarez.
Of course.
Benito Juarez, known for being the reinstator of the Republic of Mexico, known to be a hero of independence and a hero of Republican thought in Mexico. When he died, he has since become a great figure. Currently, he is the person that has the most streets named after him in Mexico and in a lot of places in the world. Funny enough, there's a statue of Benito Juarez in Chicago, and he was so prominent, he was so famous that when Benito Mussolini was born, his parents said, name him Benito after Benito Juarez.
Wow, that's pretty wild. I can't believe we haven't heard that before.
So, Benito Mussolini...
He does an encyclopedia of fast facts about the Mexican Empire. What's going on here, Luis?
I've tried not to disclose my entire knowledge because it gets troubling.
If you could be like a historian just specifically for this one thing, that's the dream job for you. You're already ready for it. You know everything.
Don't discard that fact, Kurt. It might come someday. So yes, Benito Juarez gave the name to Benito Mussolini. So you have the empire to thank for that. You have the empire failing to thank for Benito Mussolini. And lastly, Kurt, lastly, in this wonderful game of papacy or Mexican Empire, Which of these two is used as a pickup line by Luis Mejia?
Wait, just the line is just you saying?
Papacy or Mexican Empire? Which one is used by me as a pickup line?
Both.
Absolutely no, Kurt. You know this. It's the Mexican Empire. Do I carry around a picture of Maximilian of Habsburg in my wallet? Always, in case I'm on a date and they ask me, tell me something quirky about you. I say, I'm obsessed with the second Mexican Empire.
Oh, that's true.
Pull out Maximilian.
That is your fast fact.
And they fall every time. It works every time.
Hi, my name is Luis Mejia, journalism major, and I'm in love with a dead ruler of the Mexican Empire.
Exactly. So with that, we conclude the first installment of Papacy or Mexican Empire. Thank you for playing, Kurt.
How did I do? I think I got like 8 or 9 out of 10 there.
I'm afraid what you got was a lot of satisfaction from playing
I think I got
this
an
game.
A for effort.
I think you got outstanding participation.
We all won because we learned something.
Exactly. So, Kurt, that's the first game to get us in the mood for today because we're taking it easy. We're having a good time today. So, with that, tell us a story, and we finally get to take a breather. We can listen to the story and just enjoy it, knowing that we don't have to decipher whether or not it's real. We can be happy knowing this is real. So, take it away, Curtis.
Yes. We can just kick back and relax. So this was a story that was meant to be in the women's episode, and I was super excited to tell it, but unfortunately, Luis already knew it. But I have saved it until now because this podcast deserves to hear.
And boy, oh boy, has he been talking about it.
This is the story of Anne Bonny and Mary Read. So this story has two protagonists. First, I'm going to tell you about Anne Bonny. So she was born in Kinsale, Ireland, sometime around 1698. Anne's father had an affair with the family maid, who was ultimately Anne's mother. His wife left him, but the father was very fond of Anne, so he arranged for Anne and her mother to live with him. He dresses Anne like a boy and refers to as Andy when others are around to avoid scandal. I'm not really sure how that makes it less suspicious, but hey, it's a strategy.
Hey, listen, he's trying.
Yeah, he gave it a little attempt there. He tried something at least.
There was an attempt.
It doesn't work very well because they end up getting discovered pretty quickly, and they immigrate to what is now Charleston, South Carolina. So Anne's mother died in 1711 when Anne was around 13 years old. After this, she starts acting out. She was said to have a, quote, fierce and courageous temper. She reportedly murdered a servant girl with a kitchen knife, and she nearly beat to death a suitor who tried to sexually assault her.
Interesting. I'm just saying how you said, oh, she's known to have a fierce temper. Murder.
Yeah, murder right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate, yeah.
There's also a lot of rumors going around about Anne's rowdy drinking habits in local taverns and sleeping around with fishermen and drunks.
Incredible.
Finally, in 1718, she married a poor sailor named James Bonny. The two of them moved to New Providence, which is now Nassau, Bahamas. At this point in time, the governor of New Providence political platform is pretty much all just anti-piracy. The actual pirate kind, not the internet anti-piracy kind, obviously.
What's my party platform? No pirates.
And also no illegal downloads.
You wouldn't download a galleon.
So he has bounties on just the capture of any pirates. So James Bonny makes money by turning in pirates and collecting the reward money. Anne, however, spends most of her time drinking in local saloons and seducing pirates.
Yes.
So as a couple, they're kind of +1, -1 for the pirate community.
Very good. It's net zero.
Yeah, net zero. Anne ends up falling in love with a pirate named John Calico Jack Rackham, boy, what a name.
Sick.
What else was he gonna do with his life other than be a pirate?
Absolutely not.
John Calico Jack Rackham. What is he gonna be? A tax collector? No way.
Hey, my name's John Calico Jack, and welcome to Target.
Customer service, this is John Calico Jack Rackham. He's named Calico Jack because of his choice of clothing. He wears a lot of patterned shirts and calico.
Okay.
So James Bonny refuses to grant Anne a divorce, so she just basically takes off with Calico Jack and joins his pirate crew.
That's great.
Being a female pirate is pretty difficult. Right away, when Anne joined the crew, one of the shipmates protested that there should be no women allowed on board. Anne stabbed him in the chest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it
She's
seems about
big
right.
on stabbing.
Big on stabbing.
I'll tell you what.
Oh, good for her.
she's found her angle there.
Yeah.
Most of the time while on board, Anne dressed it and acted as a woman. She was both a lover to Jack and also a crewmate, so she was working on the boat. During engagements with other ships, Anne dressed as a man. She would wear a loose tunic, short trousers, a sword, 2 pistols, and a small cap to hide her hair. Ooh. So sometime around 1719, Calico Jack's ship captured another ship and absorbed their crew. Anne tries to seduce one of the new recruits named Mark Reed,
hell yeah.
only to learn that Mark Reed is in fact, drumroll please, a woman named Mary Reed who has been pretending to be a man.
Oh, so good.
Boom.
This is great.
So now we go back to learn the backstory of our second protagonist, Mary Reed.
Oh, there's a second protagonist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, record scratch. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name's Mary Reed.
I feel like I'm in a Tarantino movie. There's so much going on.
We should do a podcast story where it's all disordered narrative. It's like Pulp Fiction. Tell it just completely out of order.
But don't tell anyone about it.
Yeah, if you don't get it, man, that's on you.
That's on you, yeah.
Anyway, Mary Reed had a similar childhood to Anne. Before Mary was born, her mother gave birth to a son a few months after her husband had died at sea, so she's a single mother with a baby boy. Her mother-in-law gave money to support the grandson, but the baby died, and Mary's mother quickly became pregnant by an unknown stranger and gave birth to Mary. So she wants to keep receiving money from the mother-in-law, so she dressed and treated Mary as if she were the deceased son in order to continue receiving the money.
Oh my God.
The mother.
I know these are very, very manipulative power plays by part of both parents. This is a great example of bad parenting. You know, I feel empathy for the pirates. I understand. I would become a pirate too.
This also doesn't work. Much like Anne's father's attempt. The mother-in-law finds out and stops sending money. But Mary's mother continued dressing her as a boy so she could find work at a younger age to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. At the ripe old age of 13, Mary joined the British military.
Oh my God.
Of course, pretending to be a man.
Oh, this is like British Mulan.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Mary has a lot in her backstory before she even gets to being a pirate.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, get with it, Anne Bonny.
So, in the British military, she works as what's called a powder monkey on a ship. So, she's carrying bags of powder from the ship's hold to the gun crews, and she served during the War of the Grand Alliance. I don't know anything about this war, but it doesn't matter. Mary was there carrying some bags of powder. You know, what are you going to do? After the war, she joined the Army of Flanders. It's a multinational army in service of the kings of Spain, and she served there in both the infantry and the cavalry. While she's serving, she fell in love with her bunkmate and revealed her true identity to him. He first suggested that she should be his mistress. He's basically looking for like a friends with benefits situation.
All been there.
Mary declined him, saying that she is a reserved and proper lady.
Oh, right on, Mary.
I know.
Yeah.
She's got it going on out here. Okay.
She knows what she's about. She knows what she wants, and she doesn't care if she has to dress up for it.
So after this, she revealed her gender to the entire regiment, quit the army, married the soldier who was her bunkmate, and then he died a few years after. After his death, she rejoined the army, but unfortunately for her, since there was no war currently going on, there was no way to advance in rank, which is just kind of a funny concept to me.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah, they're just bored. It's a dead-end job if you're not in a conflict with someone. So she quits the army again, resumes life as a man, and boards a ship for the West Indies. The ship gets captured by pirates. Mary immediately joins them, but later she receives the king's pardon, which means if you're a pirate, there was a few years where you could turn yourself in and automatically be pardoned. Mm-hmm. So after being pardoned, she took a commission to privateer. Almost immediately, the crew mutinied.
Hell yes.
And then she joins them. So the crew is like, we want to be pirates. And she's like, you know what? I want to be a pirate too.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then, almost immediately after this, their ship is captured by Calico Jack. So now we are back up to date.
This is great and all, but what we're hearing is that Mary Reed was a shit captain, right? Like Mary Reed was a terrible captain if immediately they've got captured several times and also turned herself in.
That's true. Yeah, that's not a great look. I think I get the sense that she's more of a go with the flow thing. She's like, now I'm in the Navy. Now I'm in the infantry.
You know what?
Now I'm a pirate.
You're so right.
Now I'm a pirate again.
Who am I to say anything? Because I'm the same exact way, Kurt. Like, if all of a sudden I'm a pirate and they tell me, hey, you can just turn yourself in, I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then I become a pirate again, and I become an actual privateer, which is a state-sanctioned pirate. And then they tell me, hey, what if we just stop doing this? And I said, actually, yeah, why not? We're all hanging out.
Yeah, Mary's just waking up in the morning, not knowing what she's going to do that day, finding out along the way. You know,
that's the dream.
She doesn't need to think ahead. She just responds to stimuli. The stimuli is my crew wants to be pirates, therefore I am now a pirate.
Isn't that the same way mushrooms work? Not calling Mary Read a mushroom. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I have some quick details about how Mary blended in, because even when she was a pirate on Calico Jack's ship, no one suspected that she was a woman.
Oh, wow.
She would wear loose clothing to hide her curves. Her lack of facial hair actually wasn't uncommon, given that many pirates were too young to have a beard.
Nice.
She was said to be aggressive and ruthless, always ready for a raid, and swore at all times like a drunken sailor.
Incredible.
Additionally, this is just a little footnote detail, but some people theorize that Mary's stress and poor diet in the army could have paused or interrupted her menstrual cycle, so she wouldn't even be having her period. So just another detail that she might have been blending in that way.
Wow.
As for Anne and Mary's relationship, they were definitely very close. History is unsure whether they were friends or they had a romantic relationship, but they were close enough that at one point Calico Jack suspected an affair between Anne and Mary. Mary, of course, who he knows as Mark because he doesn't know that she's a woman, and he eventually attempted to cut Mary's throat with a knife. Mary opened her blouse to reveal to Calico Jack that she was in fact a woman, which apparently meant she couldn't be having an affair with Anne. I don't know. I guess it's a good enough explanation for Calico Jack.
Calico Jack said, "Oh no, go ahead. Sorry, I was mistaken. My bad."
Yeah. He said, "I think you're sleeping with my I don't know if he's wife, girlfriend, whatever," and she just rips open her shirt and he goes, "Understandable. Have a good day."
Understood. See ya.
But he did agree to keep her secret and continue to treat her as an equal crewmate. So the girls in Calico Jack, CJ, perhaps as his friends call him.
That's a great band name, CJ and the Girls.
CJ and the Girls. And there's in 1720, they have a summer and fall where they just really have a good time being pirates. They capture a bunch of stuff. I love the image that like for 10 seconds, the story turns into a high school movie. It's like the bang up summer CJ and the Girls had. During this period of time, they capture 7 fishing boats, 2 sloops, a schooner, and an abundance of loot, mostly tobacco and fishing equipment.
They're called schooners.
You know what? I don't know what it is either way, so good enough.
It's a small ship.
Mary and Anne are said to have fought side by side during raids, wearing billowing jackets, long pants, handkerchiefs wrapped around their head, and wielding a machete and pistol in either hand. Oh, so they are just a little dynamic pirating duo.
Yeah, no, that's lovely.
Finally, on midnight, October 22nd, 1720, Mary and Anne spot one of the governor's vessels sneaking up on Calico Jack's boat. They shout for the crewmates to try to wake them up, but most of them are passed out drunk. Only Calico Jack and a few others wake up to fight. The 2 ships exchange fire, leaving Calico Jack's ship disabled. Calico Jack calls for the crew to surrender, and they hide in the ship's hold for safety, except for Mary and Anne. So all the men of the crew are down in the underneath part of the boat, hiding, wanting to surrender. Mary and Anne continue fighting. They refuse to surrender, and they're alone on the deck fighting the governor's men with pistols and cutlasses.
Oh, yes.
Mary was so disgusted with the display of cowardice from the rest of the crew that at one point she stopped fighting to look over the edge of the hold and yelled down, "If there's any man among ye, ye'll come up and fight like the man ye are to be." No one responded to this, and so it made her madder, and she fired a shot into the hold, killing one of them on accident.
Wow.
Despite their efforts, Mary and Anne were eventually captured along with the rest of the crew by the governor's men. So Calico Jack was scheduled to be executed on November 18th. His final request was to see Anne. Anne's only words to him were, "If ye had fought like a man, ye need not have been hanged like a dog." Afterwards, Calico Jack was in fact hanged.
Oh.
Which, wow. I mean, you couldn't write that.
That is incredible. And that is cold, and I love it.
Yeah, both Mary and Anne get like the sickest piratey line ever in there. You see why I was so excited to tell you this story? Because that's like the greatest line.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, that's lovely. That's so good.
A week after Calico Jack's execution, Mary and Anne both stand trial. They both plead not guilty. The key witness against them is a woman named Dorothy Thomas. Dorothy's canoe had been robbed by pirates, and she stated that Anne and Mary had threatened to kill her if she testified against them. She said she recognized them as the pirates because of, quote, the largeness of their breasts.
Oh, right. Okay. Sweet.
She's like, unless you can show me another pirate with boobs, it was them. Get them.
Your Honor, they've got huge breasts.
This turns out to be pretty convincing because Mary and Anne were both sentenced to be hanged. However, they were both granted a stay of execution because they were both pregnant.
Ah, yes, the classic "I'm pregnant" trick, oldest trick in the book.
True, but also they really were. Mary Read died in prison, likely from a fever during childbirth. There's actually no clear record of what happened to Anne Bonny. Some historians from the time wrote that she wasn't executed, but they didn't give any explanation as to why she wasn't executed. There's a ledger for the burial of Anne Bonny. Both names are spelled different. In 1733, in the same church cemetery where Mary Read's body was buried. So some people think that she's there and they misspelled her name, or it was a false name for some reason. Some sources actually claim she returned returned to South Carolina and died way later in 1782.
Oh, wow.
But all in all, nobody really knows. So what do you think, Luis? Was that worth waiting for? Was that worth me telling you, even though you already knew? I think some of the broader strokes.
I knew about Anne Bonny. I knew about Mary Read. But I like these fine details, these really lovely, colorful tales, colorful stories about these two women. Because oftentimes, I mean, we seem to disregard women's place in history, but when we have to realize that history is also women's history, right? And these two really encapsulate that and show you that, maybe they're the badass ones. Maybe they're the ones that should have the movies. Maybe they're the ones that should have the fun stuff. Because what did Calico Jack do throughout all of this? Nothing. Just have a cool name.
Yeah, Calico Jack's just a supporting character here.
Not even. He's almost a cameo.
Yeah, that's true.
And I love that this story kind of falls in the same trap as most history and historians go by saying, it's like, oh no, Mary Read and Anne Bonny were definitely just friends. You know,
it does. The problem is, you know, pirates are not doing a lot of record keeping, so it is really just down to speculation of what their relationship was with each other. But either way, they were really close.
Pirates not known for their ledger.
Yeah. But yeah, the detail of the line, if ye had fought like a man, ye needn't have been hanged like a dog. That really adds a lot to it.
Very
I feel
good.
like.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to tell you that.
I think that really is the hanger that this whole story sits upon. Right, it holds up this whole story.
There's the tagline.
It's the tagline. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anne Bonny and Mary Read. We're better with you in our history books.
Yes.
Right on. All right, Curtis. So what's our next game? I think it's your game to tell us this time.
So I have been very excited to share this game. Luis, when we recorded the previous bonus episode together before, we were listening to an episode we had just finished editing and remarked at some reaction you made that it was a very Luis noise. And I often notice when listening to the podcast that sometimes you'll give a reaction that is just a very classic Luis noise. It's probably a little funnier to me because I know you and I've heard you talk a lot more. But what I have done is I have chosen 5 Luis noises from previous podcasts.
Ooh.
And I have multiple choice that you will guess what you are reacting to.
Incredible.
Okay.
Let's hear
everybody at home also play along. Tweet at us if you get 5 out of 5 right. I tried to make it as wild as possible. So we got some good ones. Okay. Here is the first clip.
What? Oh no! I sound so exasperated in that clip, Kurt. What? I feel like someone's just like stabbing me like very slowly, and I'm just weirdly, mildly annoyed at it.
You sound really exacerbated in a lot of these. There's a lot of begging going on, a lot of begging and pleading. So, Luis, what are you reacting to? Is it A, learning legendary baseball pitcher Rube Waddell was distracted by fire trucks, puppies, and shiny toys? B, hearing that Typhoid Mary was stalked, chased, and arrested by epidemic fighter George Sober? Or C, hearing the various animal parts that Mary Toft gave birth to?
Oh, God. Oh, this is so difficult, Kurt.
It's your reaction, Luis. You were there for it.
Considering I think I just now reacted to it in a similar way, I'm going to go with A. This is my reaction to, because whenever I heard you describe A, I felt me reacting the same way.
You did. You gave the same reaction. It is A.
Oh, right on.
Learning legendary baseball player Rube Waddell was distracted by fire trucks, puppies, and shiny toys. Here's the full clip. On one occasion, he left in the middle of a game to go fishing. He also...
Okay.
Yeah. He also had a fascination with fire trucks. On multiple occasions, he would run off the field to chase them when they passed the stadium.
All right.
Opposing fans discovered that if they would bring puppies or shiny objects to show Rube, he would leave the field to play with them. Spectators said that it seemed to almost put him in some sort of trance.
Whoa.
And later in his career, opposing players would buy new toys and lay them out on a blanket on the field to distract Rube to come and play with them.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's so good. I think I was just mostly hurt by the fact that they were taking advantage of the sweet man.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much distress was in your voice till I isolated the clip, and I was like, "This is a disproportionate reaction to a baseball player."
Yeah, this man is upset about something.
Okay, here is clip number 2.
Oh, don't do this to me, Kurt. Stop. No, stop. I think my favorite part about this clip, Kurt, is how I do the classic "don't do this to me" while asking you. I say "don't do this to me" as a question, as if I'm offended that you're doing this to me. Don't do this to me. That's great.
So, Luis, what are you begging for mercy to stop hearing? Is it A, me telling you that Imperial CEO Otto Schaefer was also a Nazi? B, me reminding you that we have both been to Marshall, Missouri together, the home of the magical Jim the Wonder Dog, but I have strangely never mentioned anything about the legend? Or C, me trying to convince you that Paul LaRue, internet criminal mastermind, and Paul LaRue, gold prospector, are in fact the same person?
The easy one. This is C for sure, Kurt, because it haunted me for days and weeks, I would say. The fact that you would keep saying Paul LaRue for every single name. So I'm going with C.
It is not C. It is B, me reminding you that we've been to Marshall, Missouri together,
wow.
and I have never mentioned Jim the Wonder Dog.
Oh, wow. Let's hear the full clip.
Yeah, here's the full clip. So I'm sure you're thinking, how could this have happened that we went to Marshall,
don't
we
do
were
this
there,
to me,
and this
Kurt,
never came up?
Stop. No, stop it. you are crossing all my cables right now, Kurt. You are causing a short circuit in my brain. You are crossing all my cables right now.
You could just hear the pain in your voice. That was real. That wasn't for performative. That wasn't for performative purposes.
Very
that
much.
Was real.
Yeah, that's a genuine reaction of my brain working double time.
Yeah, that was a cry for help right there if I've ever heard it.
Oh,
okay,
I love it.
Number 3. Here's the clip.
Sorry. I apologize, everyone. Yeah, well, no, never mind. Oh, that's great, Kurt. That's me wanting to end on a better note with our lovely audience and then refusing to help my case.
Yeah, you admitted guilt, you admitted culpability, and then you bailed out of it. So, Luis, what are you deciding not to apologize for? Is it A, confusing the name Paul LaRue with former St. Louis Cardinals manager Tony La Russa for the second time? Or B, for confusing Sherlock Holmes author Sir Arthur Conan Doyle with James Bond author Ian Fleming and suggesting that a boat should be renamed Octopussy? Or C, for having a fast fact that did not pass the Bechdel test on the Girl Power Women's podcast episode?
Oh my goodness.
The many crimes of Luis Mejia.
Yeah. The worst part is that these are all things I could do. These
are all things that happen.
Oh no.
I should say that, yeah, there's nothing that's made up for these quizzes. These are all things that happened in one of the stories or that Luis did in this case.
Oh, man.
A rap sheet as long as my arm. Take him away, officer.
I'm thinking this is going to be B, mostly because I think I'm trying to explain to you why I confused the two and then realizing it would be too long an explanation, so I decided not to go with the trouble of doing so.
Okay, you think B?
I think B.
That is incorrect.
What?
It is C, for having a fast fact that did not pass the Bechdel test on the Girl Power Women's podcast episode.
Oh, no.
Here's the full clip. Not even close to passing the Bechdel test, by the way.
That's rough, Sorry. I apologize, everyone. Yeah, well, no, never mind. I think the worst part about this one, Kurt, is that I am fully remorseless. There's no remorse in my voice because I say, you say, oh, that doesn't come close to passing the Bechdel test. And the first thing I say without skipping a beat is rough.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough
one.
Well,
to be fair, I don't think I gave you any warning that it was going to be a women's episode.
That's
so
true.
I was just messing with you by saying you're fast. I think I said earlier that your fast fact had to pass the Bechdel test or we would have you executed. So I think that's why.
And I've since been executed. So hey,
that's true. That's very true. Anyway, here is clip number 4.
Oh my goodness, I love America. Yeah, that's a fast clip. You hear me very, very much just giving in to the American dream.
Yeah.
Just realizing like, why fight it any longer?
So, Luis, which of these fast facts makes you proclaim your love for the greatest country on earth?
Oh, God.
Is it A, Columbus, Ohio Convention Center, the Sadie, had over-the-top amenities such as a built-in Hilton hotel and 4 food courts? B, former bootlegger and NASCAR driver Robert Glenn Johnson Jr. was pardoned by Ronald Reagan? Or C, Major League Baseball teams used to have mascots like the Chicago Orphans or the Cleveland Spiders?
Oh, man. Oh, difficult. Oh, shoot. I'm going to go with...
Just so many reasons to love America.
There are so many reasons to love America. I think I'm going to go with B, just because this is just fully a criminal that was pardoned for being very good at a sport. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just he did a lot of actual crime. Then everyone just said, nah, he go fast. He go vroom vroom. Let's pardon him. I think I'm going B.
It is, in fact, A.
What?
It is, in fact, A. Columbus, Ohio Convention Center. The Sadie had over-the-top amenities such as a built-in Hilton hotel and 4 food courts.
There's absolutely no way I get this excited just by food courts.
You watch, Luis. Here's the clip. As well as 4 food courts.
4 food courts.
4 food courts. Count them.
Oh my goodness, I love America.
The lap of luxury.
Why did I say that? Of course I got excited for food courts. Why did I lie to myself?
You just exposed yourself on the podcast.
I did. I'm so sorry.
On the air.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's another crime. Add another one to the list.
Yeah. Put it on your tab.
Put it on my tab. Sorry, boss.
Okay. Last one. Here's
Let's
the clip.
Oh, poor woman. Oh, that's genuine sadness right there. There's genuine pity in my voice.
Yes. It's like I said, a lot of these, you can hear the pain in your voice. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of distress. Mm-hmm. So, Luis, which mistreated woman from history are you feeling sorry for and why? Is it A, Ada Lighton, because she was forced to marry and have children with her deceased husband's cousin as part of a scheme to keep ownership of Alexander the Great's autobiography? B, Mary Toft, because she inserted several dead rabbits into her womb in an attempt to trick King George I. Oh. Or C, Typhoid Mary, because she was likely never told why the police were trying to arrest her.
Oh, I think it's C. It has to be C. Absolutely.
It is C. Oh. It is C. I'll play the full clip in a second, but I also want to say that you did, in fact, give similar or identical responses to all 3 of these situations.
It's the small nuances in the voice, Kurt.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
All right, full clip. No one ever explained to Mary what was happening or why it was happening.
Oh, no.
And she just knows that the police are chasing her when she didn't do anything wrong and telling her that she's killing people.
Oh, poor woman. He has a heart. Luis Mejia has a heart, everyone. He cares.
He cares.
He cares.
He cares.
Oh, wow. Oh, that was amazing, Kurt. That was incredible.
That was a lot of fun. Now you see why I was so looking forward to doing this.
That was so much fun. Well, how many did I get right? Did I guess myself right more than once?
I think you did pretty startlingly bad considering, again, it is you saying all of them.
I think I got the first one, the last one.
You got the first one and the last one, yeah. This just shows how mentally present you are for these podcasts.
Just shows how mentally present I am for my daily life, Kurt.
Yeah. So, I have been talking for a while. Luis, I think it's your turn. Do you have a story from the archives for us?
I think I do, Curtis, and this is going to be a story where we're going to take it back to my roots that we never left. And this is one of the stories that I actually was coming up to tell you while thinking of the last episode of the Lakeside Navy one. I decided I went to Rome for that episode, but I was initially going to go to Mexico because I, of course, know nothing else in this world. So I'm going to go back to Mexico because, as we all know, I am indeed from there, and you living with me, we got through a whole lot of holidays together.
We sure did.
Mexican holidays in specific. And what do I like to do? This is just a little fun fact about me. I love to cook. And what's a good cooking meal that I would make, especially around Mexican holidays? We all know it. We all love it. Pozole. We love a good pozole.
Pozole.
We love a good pozole. And what's pozole, for those that don't know? It's essentially a stew made from pork, stewed together with a bunch of corn, and you put a bunch of different stuff in it, like oregano, lime, maybe some chilies. It's real good fun. It's a nice big...
It's one of those all-day stews, you know? It's an 8-hour cooking job.
It's an 8-hour cooking job, and then you have it for the rest of the week. It's incredible. And now, Kurt, I'm pretty sure I've talked to you about this because, again, I've made this a lot in your presence, but do you know where pozole comes from?
I actually don't.
Oh, well, let me tell you, Kurt, because
you get to learn something.
Pozole comes from the Nahuatl word pozoli, which comes from the bigger word tlaposanoli, which means foamy.
Okay.
It means foamy because the stew is foamy once it gets all made and things like that. Now, it's very interesting because this dish has its roots from before the Spanish conquest. And it has its roots before then, and it was eaten by pre-Hispanic civilizations civilizations, most notably the Mexica culture, which we know as the Aztec Empire, also known as the Triple Alliance. It's been written, it's been said that Moctezuma even loved this dish, that he would often eat it and give it up to the gods, give it up to the fertility gods, and for the regeneration of corn and for warfare. Now you're thinking, this is basically a big soup. Why is Moctezuma racing this for the fertility gods and the regeneration?
No, you know what? Anyone listening who's tasted good pozole knows how good of a sacrifice it would be to the gods.
That's true. But you understand, like, it's for the regeneration of corn. Of course, it has corn. We love corn. It's the crop of the Americas. But of Mesoamerica. But why would you give it up to the god of war at this point? Well, Curtis, it's because
he likes yummy stew.
The god of war loves yummy stew. Now, here's some interesting things, Kurt. We've talked about on this show before that the concept of warfare for the pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican tribes was inherently different than it has been in most of Europe and most of European warfare, even Middle European, Asian, Western Asian, East Asian warfare. It's been different in one main regard, and it's that how you would measure victories against your enemy is not necessarily who gets the most casualties, who gets the most kills, but instead it's who captures the most people.
I thought you were going to say who makes the foamiest stew.
It comes into play later, Kurt. Don't get ahead of yourself.
That's if there's a tie, then they go to the stew for the tiebreaker.
Kurt, do not get ahead of yourself. My goodness.
Sorry.
I'm only saying that because you're getting way too close to the actual answer.
Oh, wow.
And
Look
here's
at me go.
why. So a bunch of these warriors would get captured by the opposing tribe and would be put to some to slave labor, some to tend the fields, but most of them, or a lot of them, would be involved in war games with the local warriors of the tribe to try essentially gladiatorial combat. Some of them were just outright sacrificed.
Right.
Now, the ones that were subjected to gladiatorial combat, which they were meant to lose, by the way. It was a fully one-sided fight. They were not meant to win.
Right.
What they would do is they would get into a big battle with the opposing tribe and get killed, naturally.
Right.
Get killed by the other person.
That's showbiz, baby.
And what would they do with this warrior? So the warrior would be captured by an enemy of his same rank so that he would then be able to kill him later in gladiatorial combat. If he won, once he was sacrificed, his heart was taken out. What they did now, they started cutting him up. His body was thrown down the steps of the main temple, and then they cut up the body. They would cut off the arms, they would cut off the thighs, they would cut off the legs. All the different parts of the body were taken out and were prepared in a stew with a bunch of corn. And it became a ritual meal. So this meal would be shared between the family of the warrior. The family of the captured warrior would be there too, because they would be also captured, and they would be served this man stew with their deceased loved one and say, hey, this is incredible sacrifice. This is your warrior's essence here in this stew, cooked in with our most prized possession, which is corn. You are giving this up to the gods, so now you're going to eat your husband, basically.
And it's foamy.
And it's incredibly foamy. My goodness.
Beyond belief.
It's overbearingly foamy. And the different parts of the body would be used for different people. So some would say the Tlatoani, which is the person in charge, the chief of the tribe, would often maybe get the heart or get a different part of the body that is only reserved for that chief. The warrior that killed him also got a piece of the soup. It was, again, a ritual man soup. And it kept being shown around and distributed around. They would also make it into tamales.
Little man soup never hurt anyone.
Little man soup never hurt anyone. Exactly. One of the main things they would do, they would boil it. They would boil it all together. It's a very important part of this. Now, in 1530s, after the Spanish conquistadors arrived in Mesoamerica and what is now Mexico, the Spanish would see this dish with human bits in it. And of course, if you're Spanish, you would freak out a bit.
Right.
If you,
Not a good look.
Just see your buddy's leg just in the soup.
Yeah.
There's actually written in the codex. Spanish wrote on their codex saying the natives call this dish man corn. They said this translates to man corn, which is wild. Now,
who in the world decided to go with pozole instead of man corn?
it's just man
Come
corn.
on.
Yeah, exactly. Now, here's what's interesting. Of course, once the Spanish show up, they start trading this meat for other things. They say, well, stop doing this, by God. By the gods, I guess. Or by the one true God, they would say. Stop doing this. You're not going to eat more.
They're pretty big on one true God.
Pretty big on one true God, as we recall. and so at this point, the Spanish would decide to tell them, hey, stop doing this. Some sources say that the Spanish priest and the Spanish people would trade the human meat for dog meat, xoloitzcuintli meat, and they would use that.
Oh, poor xoloitzcuintli.
Poor Fido is now on the stew. Sorry.
Dog corn.
Unfortunately, those dogs were also sacred to the Mexica people or to the pre-Hispanic world. Right. So they really also couldn't use dogs because that goes against everything they love too. So what the Spanish started to do, they started bringing different ingredients of different animals. That's where pork started to be used.
Oh.
That's where pork.
Because the Spanish brought pigs with them.
That's right. There's no pork in this part of the world. In the Americas, it didn't happen. So they started.
Yeah, I only know that because I have a big vendetta against pigs and how bad of an invasive species they are. And the Spanish actually brought like 30 or 40 pigs and then released them into the wild so they would have a permanent food source because they knew pigs could survive in pretty much any environment.
I'm very surprised. I've never heard about this vendetta against pigs that you have, Kurt.
You need to hear the backstory of like this viral tweet of the 30 to 50 hogs and how hogs are like slowly invading the Americas and could lead to the downfall of any given country. Yeah. It's wild.
And this is where it gets really neat because not only do they replace it with pork, but as we have heard, pozole was a ritual meal. It was a meal usually drank by the warriors to give them the strength of the other warrior, but it was also eaten during solar rituals, so rituals dedicated to the sun. And the Spanish, as really terrible as they were for conquering this land, they were nefariously very good at switching religions from beneath your feet. So, hey, do you go to temple every single day to pray to your gods? We're putting a church there so that every single day you go to temple, you now go pray to our God, essentially.
That's the art of the deal, baby.
That's the art of the deal. And so they would now find saints in the liturgical calendar that would match up with the solar rituals that the pre-Hispanic Mesoamerican people would do and match up saints to those so that they convince them that by eating this pork stew, they are actually praying to the power of the saints. And little by little, through the power of stew, converting you to Christianity.
Wow. That's crafty. Even through cooking, we're converting.
Exactly. No, again, very, very nefarious, but very effective in a very evil way.
Yeah.
Now, that's essentially where the story ends. I just want you to know that it comes from human meat, but this is a personal theory I have that transcends all of this.
Okay.
I remember whenever I would live with you and with our other roommates, I would usually cook my meat. That's not a euphemism. I would literally cook every single meat that I would purchase, whether that be chicken or pork or beef, by boiling it, right?
Yep.
And a lot of the time, you would all ask me, why the hell are you boiling this pork, for example, or chicken, instead of cooking it, you fool, you idiot. And I think back to...
That's how we ended all our sentences to you in those days.
Exactly.
Like, hey, Luis, is it your week to take out the trash? You fool, you idiot. And you're like, yeah, it's me this time, yeah.
You end every single meeting we do for this podcast like that, Kurt.
That's true. I spit on my computer camera.
Exactly. Now I'm finding, and again, this is just a theory, a lot of Mexican dishes are basically boiled. You don't really cook meat in, like putting it in an oven or over a fire or over a spit even. You boil it.
Right.
And I'm making an assumption, a hypothesis, which I'm yet to test, that is just cultural remnants of the importance of boiling together corn with meat.
Right.
And I don't know if that's true, but it makes me feel a little bit better about boiling all my pork. And with that, we come to the end of pozole, which is coming up. September is Independence Day. So if you are making a good pozole, I'll certainly be making one. So please celebrate soon with your man corn.
I can't stop thinking about how much I love just like original pozole recipe. Name me one other recipe that starts with step 1, gladiatorial combat.
No, it's interesting. There's a historian that actually that says warriors would go into combat like if they were going to the marketplace, because they're going to choose the strongest warrior that's similar rank to them and see if they can get him back and eat him.
What if it's like shopping when you're hungry? You know, you go into battle when you're hungry, you come back with like 3 warriors, like, oh man, my eyes are really bigger than my stomach on this one, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like this person's eyes were bigger than my stomach. Really. But yes, that's the origins of pozole, Kurt.
Wow. That's a lot wilder than I would think the origin of just a stew could be. But somehow that makes me like it better. I don't know what that says about me, but I really want some pozole now.
We're really thinking of pozole now. But so I don't keep you with this desire for pozole, Kurt. We have one more thing to do.
Because while it is your day of victory and celebration, Luis is wearing his birthday boy cap. My neck is in the guillotine.
That's right, Kurt.
And justice must be served.
That is true. So for the last 10 stories, Kurt, or I have bested you for 10 times, which means that I have won this round of podcast again. And due to that, I have a bit of a quiz for you, Kurt, which you will have to answer. And if you are not able to answer, tell us what happens, Kurt.
So basically, either way, I am going to buy Luis a gift as my punishment and his reward. The budget of the gift starts at $100. However, every question I answer correctly, the budget goes down $10. So if I miss all of them, Luis is getting a $100 gift. If I get all of them right, I guess you're getting a paper clip or something. I don't know.
Well, we'll see, Kurt. So are you ready for the punishment quiz?
Absolutely. As much as I'll ever be.
All right, Kurt. So these are all questions based off past episodes that we've done.
Okay.
To see, we both know that I turned my brain off after I listened to this podcast. Now we get to see if you do the same. Ready? And your money is on the line.
I'm going to be finding out too. I feel like I don't know either if my brain is active during this podcast. So we're both going to find out together.
All right, Kurt. For the first question, name one of the 2 stories from our very first episode.
From our very first episode.
Very first episode.
Was Mystery Meat and the Mexican Empire.
But tell me what one of those stories were.
Oh, okay. The Mystery Meat story was the story of the Roman Emperor Elagabalus. I think that's the name. I messed it up a couple times in the episode, I think. But he was a very flamboyant ruler of Rome, and he served his top generals some foreskins, which they did not like very much, and promptly killed him.
Wow, Kurt, that is perfect. You remember that exactly. Very good, Kurt.
I think about the foreskins a lot. I'm not gonna lie, Luis.
Don't we all?
No, we've all been there.
We've all been there. All right, Kurt, we continue.
So I'm down to 90.
You are down to 90. That's the minus $10.
This is good because there's like $30 in my bank account, so we really got to perform here.
Now, name the type of gun that Frenchmen used to duel on balloons way up high.
Oh, okay. This is good because I don't think I would have remembered this detail were it not for my rural gun knowledge, but I'm pretty sure it's a blunderbuss.
You are correct again, Kurt. Minus $10.
Woo! Yes, down to 80.
Down to 80. All right, Kurt. This one is pretty recent. You should remember this one. Name the famed Roman general that trained a navy in a lake.
Oh, no. Marcus Agrippa.
Good, Kurt. Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Maybe I should have
functioning brain.
Wow. I thought I had you on that one.
You almost did. I was struggling for a second there.
All right, Kurt. What fashionable surgery did Louis XIV's doctor perform on the king with no anesthetic?
Okay. It was. I don't know how specific I have to be. I know it was butt surgery. I think he had a fistula or something removed. I forget what it was.
Holy cow, Kurt, that's exactly the name of it.
Woo! Oh, man, I'm on a roll. Get ready for your paperclip. What are we, 70?
Yeah. What European capital is Maximilian of Habsburg from?
Uh-oh.
Name of the city.
Name of the city. Vienna.
Good. Again.
Because he's Austrian. Yes?
You're so right.
Oh, yes.
All right, Kurt. Hernan Cortez was famously defeated at a battle by the Triple Alliance, also known as the Aztec Empire. What is this event known by in the history books?
Do I have to say it in English or Spanish?
Either.
Noche Triste, I think.
Which means?
In English, you said the Night of Tears. I mean, it's the sad night, but I think you said the night of tears.
You got it so right. It is the sad night.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. Damn.
Are you regretting making these too easy?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But you know what?
You should have some backup questions, so if I started getting them, you could switch in the real hard ones.
No, Kurt. No, I care about you.
What word is Luis saying at minute 42 of episode 3?
All right, Kurt. Name the faux German acting ring.
Oh, no. Okay, I remember the story, but I can't get this because it was named after the original guy. I'm going to say Karl von Hatten. Just pick a German sounding
no,
name.
Kurt, it is not Karl von Hatten. It is Franz Ichluge. Ichluge meaning I lied.
I feel like Karl von Hatten was close.
That's pretty good.
It's half a point. No.
All right. No, it was Franz Ichluge. Ichluge. The answer is a lie.
Oh, yeah. I remember that now.
All right, Kurt. Next question. What do cardinals in Vatican City allegedly say?
As opposed to the cardinal birds.
Exactly. As opposed to the cardinal birds or the Cardinals team.
Right.
What do the cardinals at Vatican City allegedly say when a new pope is elected?
Okay. I know there's a thing they say other than what we talked about with the special chair.
I'm talking about special chair. What do they say?
We're in special chair territory.
We are in special chair territory. You don't have to say the Latin translation. Just tell me what they're saying as it translates.
I want to say it's put a little more delicately than I'm saying it, but if I remember, it's something like the Pope has testicles and they hang well.
That is exactly it.
Or is that what it is?
That is exactly
it,
okay. Kurt. My goodness.
It probably sounds better in Latin.
Yeah. It's testiculum abet et bene pendentes.
Put that on my tombstone.
All right, Kurt. What do all the cool 1920s kids bring to the nearby seal hunting grounds?
Oh, love it. Love it. Your gun and your jaw harp all the way, baby.
Exactly. So that we can hear to Prince while shooting seals.
Yes.
And lastly, Kurt, define Japanese-style bullfighting.
Oh no, I don't remember. Okay. I'm gonna go with instead of killing the bull, they rope the bull and catch him.
No, Kurt. Japanese-style bullfighting, as mentioned in the episode, is a big cockfight, but instead of roosters, it's bulls.
Yes,
it's like
bull on bull action.
Bull on bull action until they hurt each other. So, Kurt, you got most of them correct.
Yeah, wow, I was going nuts. What is my budget?
I think your budget currently, since we went down $80 from 100.
Right.
The budget is $20, Kurt.
Yes. Okay. So I have a crisp $20 that will be going to buying some sort of gift for Luis. Once I figure out what it is, we'll announce it on our social media. But wow, I was really worried that because I feel like I get so unlucky with guessing which story is true or not that I was gonna get 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
No, that was really fun though. I'm actually impressed at how many details I remember from the stories. But so that brings us to the end of season 1.
That brings us officially to the end of season 1.
Wow.
With this, Kurt, the tally is wiped clean. Once more, we are free to go crazy. We are free to go as wild, as fibbing as we want. We can do whatever we want. The tally is marked 0-0. We are back at evens, Kurt.
Yes. So before we go, I want to ask you, Luis, what is your 2 favorite stories from the season? What is your favorite story that you've told and favorite story that I've told? Because I was thinking about this when pulling the sound bites for the Luis Noises quiz. I think for me, my favorite story I've told is Robert Glenn Johnson Jr. bootlegging Bordeaux gin. And the favorite story from you that you've told would be the seal hunter, because as we were just talking about, I just love the image so much of a bunch of children with revolvers and jaw harps shooting seals.
How about this, Kurt? What is your favorite fake story and your favorite real story that you've heard from me?
Oh, okay. Of your stories, which is my favorite fake and favorite real? Mm-hmm. Okay. So obviously my favorite real story still has to be the seal hunter, right? For the reasons I just discussed. Mm-hmm. I think my favorite fake story is the mystery meat foreskins dinner party.
Way back, first episode.
Way back. I mean, like I said earlier, that the foreskins on my mind a lot, living rent free in my head.
Yeah.
What I think about a lot is that because I think when you told the story, you said that after he announced "enjoy the foreskins," that the generals immediately grabbed him, stabbed him to death, and threw his body in a river. And I just remember joking about like I've never screwed up so bad that I was stabbed to death and thrown in a river on the spot.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. What about you? What do you have?
Well, Kurt, frankly, I think one of my favorite stories you've told, mostly because it was so convincing to me and it appealed to every single thing I enjoy, is probably the seafood prophet. Is my favorite fake story.
Really? Wow.
I love the seafood prophet mostly because you got me so well. You ticked all the boxes of a story that will convince me. But now, as for reals,
I remember the quote from that. I said it's hard to get mercury poisoning just from eating oysters, and you said unless there's a magician spoon feeding you fish.
Very good. And I think my favorite real story that you've told so far is actually one of our latest ones, the Whalebone Baron. I absolutely love.
It's hard to beat the Whalebone Baron.
It's hard to beat the Whalebone Baron, mostly because, again, it ticks all the boxes with my own life. I identify with both stories very much. So
that's fun.
With that, I think we conclude this segment of it. We're not ending this podcast. Don't worry. We've still got plenty of stories to tell. But we just want to throw out a big thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for everyone that has tuned in, everyone that hasn't tuned in. This is really fun, and we have a lot of fun doing it. We have a lot of fun presenting these stories, coming up with these stories, and this is our special episode, so we're gonna get sappy. So screw you.
Yeah. We're feeling vulnerable, as
exactly.
Luis would say.
Always.
All right, you want to take us out, Luis?
Yes. So with that, thank you for listening to this podcast, Unbelievable with Kurt and Luis, in our very special end of season episode. If you'd like to get in contact with us or like to play along with any of these fun interactive games we do sometimes, well, you can find us on our social media. We are on Twitter at UnbelievablePC. You can find us also on Instagram at UnbelievablePod. That's where you can keep up with us. You can find us on most streaming platforms. And
we're putting Luis's home address in the description of the show.
And first person to DM us on Twitter gets my personal home address.
And social security number.
Exactly. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back with another story. The slate is wiped clean. We'll be back with another fake and another real story. Until then, I'm Luis, joined by Kurt Danner. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Remember, more smoke, more mirrors.
More smoke, more mirrors. More smoke,
more mirrors. More smoke, more